Okay, thank you, Kelvin. Like I said yesterday, we will not jeopardize any part of this investigation. However, today we will take some questions, but no details will be released that will jeopardize anything. Okay. Sir?
Yeah, Jay Celeste with Channel 7 here. Have you been able to recover the bodies?
Oh, please.
At this point, we have been able to recover a body that we're quite certain is Shannan Watts' body. We have strong reason to believe that we know where the bodies of the children are, and recovery efforts are in process on that.
And you mentioned Anadarko. Is it fair to say that these were recovered on Anadarko property?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Has he given you any indication, and we know, and I have reported that you guys have spoken with him, has he given you any indication as to why he might have allegedly committed these crimes?
And that part, Jace, we just can't get into any comments that may or may not have been made by an individual in an interview. That really would jeopardize.
Has he been cooperative with you?
So, and I can't even give you an assessment of that. I apologize.
Do you believe that there could be anyone else involved in this, helping with the bodies, or any indication that there could be additional people or suspects?
We have an awful lot of people that we still need to talk to. As you can imagine, an investigation like this, it's complex. We talk to anyone and everyone that, no matter how loosely related to this it might be, and so we've got a lot of folks that we need to talk to. In terms of I think it's safe to say that in terms of any danger to the community or anything like that, we're not concerned about that at all. And so I'll leave it at that.
Generally speaking, what would you say led the case to Mr. Watts? Was it statements by him or the discovery of the bodies?
It would be a totality of the circumstances, a full police investigation. Regarding any more details than that, I will not get out.
Do you know when they were killed, more or less?
That I do not have at my disposal.
To elaborate a little bit on that, any sense if he killed them all at the same time? Did he kill the kids over the weekend and get his wife at the end? Could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
That would be one of the many details that we are not able to discuss at this time. As I said before, the case is still ongoing. Investigation is still continuing.
Is there a timeline between when Mr. Watts was arrested and when the body of Shanann was recovered? Can you give us some detail on the timeline?
I don't want to test anything that I'm not either certain about myself or that would jeopardize the case in the matter.
The victim's family on social media said that he confessed to the murders. Can you confirm that?
Again, that would be a detail that I would not be able to disclose at this time.
Can you talk personally about the toll this case has taken on the town of Frederick, on your officers, on the team?
Absolutely. That is a question I can't answer, and it's been earth-shattering. Our small department, 20-plus officers, we've been working around the clock on this, and it's something that we've been working with the community, with the command staff, with the town of Frederick themselves. Obviously, the media, you find people, and it's been nonstop. And I don't want to say there's no end in sight, but it's certainly ongoing.
Can you talk about, I know that the family is located on the East Coast, mainly for Shanann, just kind of bringing them here and kind of how you guys are working with the family?
Out of respect to the family, I don't want to disclose anything about their personal lives. Thank you, though.
Mr. Rourke, any idea on when information on this case will be unsealed?
The affidavit in support of warrantless arrest was sealed last night at our request by a district court judge. We did so that we could finish up a few of the investigative steps. My anticipation is that on or about Monday, when we make a filing decision, my hope will be that we can ask the court to unseal that information and make it a public record at that point in time.
And the last person that said that they saw Shanann was somebody, was Chris. He talked to us. He said he was the last person that saw her at 5 a.m. Is there anybody else that you guys know of that has talked, or the last place or time that she was physically seen by somebody other than the suspect?
Again, I think it's safe to say that that's all part of developing a timeline in a case like this of many, many people to talk to, and so anything that you hear like that, are certainly things that we check into, but then we also try to verify and talk to others and really complete that timeline as best we can.
We heard you got back from a business trip. Have you guys worked with the airport at all together? tickets, surveillance video, anything like that?
Yeah, so again, it'd be one of those details that I just don't want to disclose. Let's take about 2 more questions, guys. Okay?
Shannan's body was found at the property van in Arco, but is there any reason to believe that she was killed elsewhere, just dropped off there?
We can disclose that her body has been located. However, I can't say anything further than that.
Since you can't talk about the manner of death, that's something that does get released. Can you share that with us?
Manner of death would be undetermined at this time. We don't want to speculate anything or rule anything out. I think that's enough for today, guys, and I thank you all for coming. Again, I'd like to thank all the agencies in charge that helped us out, and good day to you all. Thank you.
All right, that has been a press conference in Frederick, Colorado, with various law enforcement officials pertaining to the murder of Shannan Watts and her 2 daughters, Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3. They were talking about the charges that will come against the husband of Shannan, Christopher Watts, age 33. They did not say specifically which charges. We can assume some form of homicide, murder charges. They said that will be determined by Monday. They will bring those charges. He is in jail right now. He has a bail hearing coming up. As you remember, this family, the woman who's 15 months pregnant and the 2 girls went missing a few days ago. The husband, Christopher Watts, went on TV pleading for them to be safely returned before reports say that he actually was confronted and confessed to their murders. One of the interesting quotes that came out of that press conference was from one of the local police officers who said that they're a small police department and that this has taken an earth-shattering toll on them, this investigation. They've been working around the clock. We've shown you a few images, too, of the family's house where there is a small memorial that is growing with stuffed animals and flowers. We're going to take a quick break now. You're streaming CBSN, CBS News, always on. A Missouri woman claims she was rejected for a job because of her name. Hermisha Robinson applied for a position at a company called Mentality Health via the website Indeed.com. She received an email response from Mentality Health saying, quote, "Unfortunately, we do not consider candidates that have suggestive ghetto names." Robinson spoke to our affiliate, KMOV.
I feel like I wasn't given the right opportunity to show my skills just because of my name, and it really hurt. It really hurt.
In a statement, the CEO of Mentality Health said their password for Indeed.com was compromised. He added, quote, "We are currently working with law enforcement to identify the perpetrator and consider appropriate legal action. We share the anger and frustration of those who received these bogus emails." But Indeed.com issued a statement saying their investigation shows, quote, "no evidence of hacking or compromise, and we have informed the client that the messages were sent by an authorized user of that account." 30 more women have filed lawsuits against USC for not protecting them from alleged misconduct at the hands of the school's former gynecologist. The number of students and alumni suing the university is now up to 340. The allegations of abuse date back to 1981 and are as recent as 2016. Dr. George Tyndall denies all accusations. The new lawsuits come as students return to campus for the start of the fall semester. A terrifying moment for one Massachusetts mother when her children's toy car bursts into flames just moments after her kids were inside it. Katie Brace of our CBS News station in Boston, WBZ, has more on how this mother's quick actions likely saved her kids' lives.
Fire consumed a child's toy electric vehicle just moments before these two kids were in it.
I think that was a really scary thing, was, because they were buckled in and they're both little, so neither of them could have gotten themselves out.
Fortunately, mom Michelle Klein was feet away as her kids started driving up the small hill in her neighbor's